On the day of her father's funeral, Emma was drowning in grief. So when her husband asked her to sign a few simple papers, she didn't question him. She didn't know. She was signing away everything. 2 days later, he vanished, along with her inheritance, her home, and every trace of trust. Pregnant. Alone. Betrayed. But what he didn't know was that Emma would rise again. And when she does, she won't just take back what's hers. She'll prove exactly who she is. The sleeves of Emma Hamilton's black mourning dress clung to her arms, soaked with silent tears. She stood motionless before her father's coffin, her heart sinking into a void deeper than grief. Joseph Hamilton has passed away, leaving behind his beloved only daughter. The pastor's words shattered her like shards of glass. Her mind spiraled back, snow-dusted Christmas mornings, the scent of cinnamon pancakes, nights when he stayed up tutoring her despite trembling hands from exhaustion. The company is my life, Emma, but you are its soul. She could almost hear his voice now, a whisper in her ear. Her chest tightened. The tears came freely. At the back of the room, her husband Tom was whispering to Leonardo, the family lawyer, while glancing down at his phone. When Emma's gaze met theirs, a chill slipped down her spine. Their expressions were too composed for a funeral. Whispers rustled through the guests like dry leaves. She's the only child, she'll inherit everything. Joseph built that company from nothing. Must be worth millions. Emma barely registered the murmurs. She didn't see the flicker of calculation that crossed Tom's eyes with every passing comment. Marcus Winters approached her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Your father was the most honorable man I've ever known in business. I've been with the company since the beginning. If you ever need anything, my dear. Emma nodded in silence, her throat too tight for words. After the funeral, the house felt hollow, echoing with silence instead of her father's deep voice. The sickly sweet scent of sympathy flowers only sharpened his absence. Let's just take care of a few papers, Tom said gently. Then you can rest. Emma blinked. She was still in her black dress, her limbs heavy from grief and exhaustion. She sank onto the sofa as Tom placed a thick folder in her lap. What papers? She asked, her voice hoarse, her eyes blurred with tears. Part of the inheritance procedures. The lawyers need these signed today. Your father would have wanted us to act practically, not emotionally. Legal jargon swam across the page, hereby acknowledges, transfer of assets, power of attorney, all of it meaningless noise. An older relative, Eleanor, leaned over. Emma, maybe you shouldn't sign right now, these things can wait. You need time to grieve. Tom's tone turned sharp. This is a family matter, Eleanor. Joseph trusted me to guide her through this. He took Eleanor by the elbow and led her from the room. Emma stared down at the papers, a knot forming in her chest. Something didn't feel right. But her mind was fogged with sorrow, and the weight of the day pressed on her like wet wool. Tom returned, his voice soft again. Your father trusted me to take care of everything. These are just formalities. Emma's hand hovered over the signature line. Her father's final days flashed before her, slurred words, cloudy eyes, and an urgency in his voice she hadn't understood at the time. Was he trying to warn her? The thought slipped away, swallowed by the storm in her heart. Blinded by grief, she wiped her eyes on the sleeves already soaked with tears, the same sleeves with which she was about to sign away everything. With a trembling hand, she began to sign. One page. Then another. Then another. Tom didn't wait. As soon as she was done, he swept up the papers and handed them to Leonardo. I'll just make sure everything is processed, he said, already moving toward the door. Emma watched them through the window as they stood outside, talking rapidly, their solemn funeral faces replaced with something more energized. She couldn't hear their full exchange. But 5 words reached her like cold steel. It's done. Let's proceed immediately. Emma pressed her palm against the glass, the chill biting through her skin. The house, once warm with her father's presence, now felt colder than the air outside. She was alone. 2 days after the funeral. Morning light spilled across the bed, but Tom was gone. Emma blinked at the empty space beside her. His closet door stood open. The hangers clinked softly, empty. His toiletries were missing. His laptop, gone. Only a single note lay on the pillow. I need some time. I'll sort everything out. Emma sat frozen. Her hands trembled. For the past 2 days, he'd been restless, pacing through her father's study, rummaging through drawers. Now he had vanished. She clutched her robe tighter and called the only person who might help. Mr. Shepherd speaking. Leonardo, it's Emma. I need to talk about my father's will. Tom is gone, and I don't understand what's happening. A pause. Ms. Hamilton, I'm sorry, but you're no longer involved. What? Her voice cracked. You signed documents renouncing your inheritance rights. All assets have been transferred according to your father's secondary provisions. No, I didn't know what I was signing. Tom said they were formalities. The documents were properly notarized and witnessed. Mr. Reynolds is now overseeing all matters related to the estate and Hamilton Industries. Tom? That's not possible. My father would never. Good day, Ms. Hamilton. The line clicked dead. Emma stared at the phone in disbelief, her fingers limp. She stumbled into her father's study, frantically opening drawers. The desk was bare. The safe, empty. Years of documents, ledgers, journals, gone. All that remained was a single photograph of her and her father, taken at her college graduation. Emma took the photo in trembling hands, tracing her father's smile with her finger. I never thought this would be our final promise, she whispered. The pieces fell into place. Tom's controlling demeanor. His late-night talks with Leonardo. Her foggy memories of the funeral night. It hadn't been disorganization. It had been a plan. A calculated, deliberate plan. Emma sank to the floor, the photo clutched to her chest. The grief of her father's death had barely begun when her husband, the man she trusted, had stolen everything. And she'd signed it away herself. A silent sob escaped her lips. But even as despair closed in, something in her heart stirred. Her father's voice echoed once more. You are the soul of this company. You are my daughter. Emma wiped her face. Slowly, she stood. She placed the photo in her purse, the one thing she wouldn't let anyone take. This isn't over, she whispered. I promise you that. 2 months after Tom's disappearance. Emma sat in the sterile waiting room, her hand absently rubbing her churning stomach. Mrs. Reynolds, the nurse called. It's Miss Hamilton now, Emma corrected quietly, rising to follow her. The doctor's words came like a thunderclap. Congratulations, you're pregnant. Emma's face froze, shocked, afraid, and yet, something deeper flickered in her eyes. Slowly, she brought her hand to her belly. That evening, alone in her tiny apartment, Emma stared at an eviction notice, 2 weeks to leave. Her hands trembled as she picked up the phone. The number you have reached is no longer in service. She tried email. Social media. Everything. Blocked. The man she had loved, trusted, built a life with, gone without a trace. At her follow-up appointment, a nurse asked gently, Your husband couldn't make it today? He's no longer in the picture, Emma murmured. Then she heard it, a tiny sound that filled the room. Her baby's heartbeat. Tears filled her eyes. But this time, not just sorrow. A fierce, primal protectiveness surged from within. Later, walking home, Emma passed a baby boutique. She paused, catching her reflection in the glass. A woman alone, yes, but not broken. Not yet. We can do this together, she whispered to her growing belly. Just you and me. The lawyer's office. Emma sat stiffly across from Leonardo, the family's longtime lawyer. Ms. Hamilton, as I stated over the phone, you no longer have any legal claims to your father's estate. I want to see the documents, Emma said, her voice dry but steady. Leonardo slid a folder across the desk. These are the transfers you authorized. Emma flipped through the pages. Her own signature stared back at her, page after page. I didn't know what I was signing, she said. It was the day of the funeral. I was in shock. Your signature was witnessed. Notarized. The law doesn't recognize emotional distress as a valid defense. Emma's gaze shifted to a photograph on his shelf. Tom and Leonardo at a charity gala, laughing. Shaking hands. How long have you been working with him? She asked quietly. Leonardo hesitated, just a flicker. This meeting is over. Emma gathered her bag. As she reached the door, Leonardo added, given your condition, I suggest focusing on the child. The past cannot be undone. Outside, Emma felt every gaze in the waiting room turn to her. They saw her belly, her absence of a ring, her loneliness, and judged her without a word. The letters begin. That night, Emma began writing. Tom, today I found out I'm carrying your child. A child you'll never know unless you choose to read this. I wonder, how do you sleep at night? She folded the letter carefully. Sealed it. Mailed it. 3 days later, it returned. Return to sender. Addressee unknown. Emma placed it in a shoebox and began a second. Today I felt the baby move. Just a flutter. You'll never know that feeling. But I do. And that's enough. Letter after letter. Each returned unopened. Each folded and placed in the box. Each one a lifeline. The doctor says it's a girl. I'll name her Sophia. After my mother. Someone who loved conditionally, unlike you. The lonely birth. 7 months pregnant, Emma moved into a rundown apartment. The crib was secondhand. The walls leaked. But it was theirs. At 3 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday, her water broke. She called a cab, clutching a grocery bag with clothes and a worn towel. At the hospital, the clerk's voice was flat. Insurance and ID, please. I don't have insurance. The woman looked her over, lips pursing. We'll need a guarantor for payment. I don't have anyone. Her voice cracked. Please, my baby is coming. Fill these out. Emma sat in the corner of the waiting room, filling the forms as pain gripped her. When she reached the emergency contact section, her pen hovered, then wrote N/A. Other women were ushered through, husbands at their side. Emma waited. Cried. Waited more. A nurse glanced her way, then turned away with a sigh. Finally, a voice said, "This isn't right." Emma looked up. A woman in a navy cardigan stepped forward. I'm Grace Coleman, a social worker. Come with me. Within minutes, Emma was in a gown, breathing through the pain. A nurse asked gently, "Where's your husband?" He left. Parents? Friends? Emma shook her head. Just me. The nurse's eyes softened. You're doing this alone? I'm not alone, Emma whispered. She's with me. The labor was long. The pain brutal. But through the haze, she heard her father's voice, "Be strong, Emma. You've always been stronger than you know." And then, a cry. A piercing, perfect cry. Hello, Sophia, Emma whispered. The baby's hand curled around her finger, stronger than she'd imagined. It's just you and me now. But we'll be okay. That night, by the glow of a hospital lamp, Emma wrote one more letter. Today, Sophia was born. She has your eyes, but everything else is mine. Her strength. Her fight. Her future. She looked down at her daughter. And for the first time since the funeral, Emma didn't feel lost. She felt ready. 4 years later. Where's your daddy? A little girl asked during snack time. Sophia, now 4 years old, didn't hesitate. I don't have a daddy. My mommy does everything for both of us. She said it like a fact of nature, without sadness, without hesitation. That evening, Emma unlocked the door to their small apartment, her shoulders slumping under the weight of exhaustion. Scrubbing office floors all day left her aching. At 36, she looked older, lines around her eyes, silver strands in her hair, but her eyes still held fire. Mommy. Sophia ran to her, beaming. I drew a picture of us today. Emma smiled and knelt to embrace her. The apartment was tiny, a far cry from the mansion she once called home, but it was filled with warmth. After dinner, Emma opened a worn law textbook, its pages crammed with handwritten notes. She had spent 4 years studying borrowed books at night, building a case she couldn't afford to lose. Mommy, is this Grandpa? Sophia asked, holding out the only photo Emma kept of her father. Emma pulled her onto her lap. Yes, sweetheart. That's him. Do I look like him? Emma blinked back tears. You do. His eyes. His smile. He would have loved you so much. Later, after tucking Sophia into bed, Emma sat at her desk. She pulled out a shoebox containing nearly 100 returned envelopes, all addressed to Tom. With a sigh, she took out a fresh sheet of paper. Tom, today Sophia called my father a grandpa for the first time. She asked about him and about you. How do I explain that the man who should have loved her chose greed instead? She sealed the letter, knowing it would come back like the rest. But the ritual mattered, it was her proof, her therapy, her story. In the hallway, unnoticed, Sophia hugged a notebook to her chest. On the cover, written in crayon, Mommy's story. The Community Center. The Southside Community Center offered free legal consultations. Emma's hands clutched a file folder, evidence gathered over 4 years. Fraud. Forgery. Betrayal. Next, called a volunteer. Emma stepped forward and was led to a modest office where a woman in her 40s greeted her. What can I help you with? Emma placed her folder on the desk. I believe I was defrauded out of my inheritance. I have reason to believe my signatures were forged. The woman's eyes widened. You're Emma Hamilton. Emma stiffened. Yes. Why? The woman smiled softly. I've been looking for you. My name's Miranda Foster. Your father, he was a dear friend. Emma's breath caught. You knew my father? He helped save my father's business during a lawsuit. He even funded my education. He changed our lives. Why now? Emma asked. Miranda pulled out a yellowed envelope. 5 years ago, Joseph gave me this. He made me promise to wait exactly 5 years before opening it. Emma's eyes widened at the familiar handwriting. To be opened 5 years after my passing. He knew something might go wrong, Miranda said. He suspected Tom. That's why he chose me, to watch over Hamilton Industries and help you if anything went wrong. You've been watching the company? And collecting evidence, Miranda nodded. She opened a folder. Your father didn't trust Tom. He left me everything, files, journals, instructions. Hope bloomed in Emma's chest for the first time in years. The evidence room. Miranda spread documents across the table. This is your father's journal, she said, handing Emma a leather-bound notebook. It was in a safe deposit box Tom didn't know existed. Emma ran her fingers over the pages, her father's handwriting soft and strong. March 15th, I'm watching Tom closely. Something's off. I fear he sees the company only as profit. I must protect Emma. Some pages had been torn out, clearly removed. We also have this. Miranda handed over a handwriting analysis report. Your signatures were inconsistent. It suggests forgery. She pointed to a newspaper clipping. Hamilton Industries is failing. Stocks down 60%. Tom's leadership is reckless. Then she handed Emma a photograph. Tom remarried last year. That's Vanessa Clayton. Her father is the main investor keeping the company afloat. Emma stared at the photo. Vanessa looked unnervingly like a younger version of herself. Their marriage contract has performance clauses, Miranda explained. If the company collapses, so does his marriage. Sophia, who had been coloring quietly, wandered over. She glanced at the photo. Mommy, is that the man from your letters? The ones that come back? Emma froze. How do you know about those? I see you write them. You always look sad after. Miranda glanced between them. You've been documenting everything. Emma nodded. Every missed moment. Every struggle. I didn't write them to use as evidence, but maybe I should. They show the human cost, Miranda said gently. The abandonment. The betrayal. That matters in court, and to the board. Miranda took a deep breath. Emma, are you ready to fight for what's yours? Emma looked at her daughter, so innocent, so strong. I'm ready, she said. Not just for the money. For the truth. For my father. For Sophia. Miranda smiled. Then I have one more surprise. The 25th anniversary gala for Hamilton Industries is next month. And you and I have tickets. You want me to confront him? In public. I want you to reclaim your name. Let the world see who Emma Hamilton really is. On the way home, Sophia sat in the back seat, swinging her feet. Mommy, do you think your letters will reach him now? Emma looked at her daughter, brushing hair from her face. Yes, sweetheart. I think it's finally time. Sophia nodded. Good. He should know our story. Emma smiled, the fire in her heart finally catching flame. This wasn't just about inheritance. It was about legacy. And now, it would be heard. The invitation. An elegant cream envelope arrived in Emma's mailbox. Inside was an invitation to the Hamilton Industries 25th anniversary gala, requesting she deliver a speech about her father's legacy. Emma's hands trembled. After 5 years of struggle, she was suddenly being invited back into the world that had been stolen from her. Is this your doing? She asked Miranda. Partly. Marcus Winters never fully trusted Tom, and with the company's financial troubles, he's gained some leverage. This is the perfect moment to confront Tom, publicly. I don't know if I can face him. You've been facing his ghost every day for 5 years, Miranda replied gently. Every letter you wrote was preparing you for this moment. A week before the gala, Emma and Sophia stood in a small boutique. Sophia pointed to a black gown on a mannequin. It looks like the dress you wore in the picture. Emma smiled softly. That dress belongs to sad memories. Instead, she chose a deep emerald green gown. This one's for new beginnings. That night, Emma wrote her 100th letter to Tom, sealing it and placing it in a folder with the rest of her evidence. This time, she whispered, I'll deliver it myself. On the night of the gala, Emma sat in Miranda's car, holding the folder in her lap like it was made of glass. Are you scared, Mommy? Sophia asked from the back seat. Emma nodded. A little. Don't be. You're the strongest person in the whole world. The gala. As Emma entered the grand ballroom with Sophia and Miranda, conversations halted. Heads turned. She was a vision in emerald, her posture regal, her gaze unwavering. The broken young widow was gone. In her place stood a woman shaped by fire and loss. Is that Joseph's daughter? My God, she looks just like him. Emma took her seat, directly across from Tom. Marcus Winters stepped up to the microphone. It is my great honor to introduce the daughter of our founder, Emma Hamilton. Emma rose. Her heels clicked softly against the marble as she walked to the podium. In this very room, my father built a company out of nothing. He told me often, the company is my life, Emma. But you are its soul. She paused, scanning the crowd until her eyes landed on Tom and the blonde woman beside him. 5 years ago, on the day of my father's funeral, I was grieving. And in that grief, I was misled. I was handed a set of documents, supposedly routine, and I signed them. A murmur rippled through the crowd. What I didn't know was that those documents transferred my inheritance, everything my father built, to my husband, Tom Reynolds. More whispers. Gasps. But my father was a visionary. He left behind a contingency plan and the evidence I needed to tell the truth. It's taken me years to uncover it, and tonight, I share it not out of revenge, but out of respect. She looked directly at Tom. To honor my father's values. His integrity. And to make sure Hamilton Industries reflects those values again. Emma stepped back as silence settled over the room. Then came applause, as slow, but growing, until it filled the hall. Marcus returned to the mic. I supported Tom's vision. That was a mistake. Financial reports show mismanagement, and as of tonight, we welcome back the company's rightful heir. The board has reviewed Emma's evidence, including confirmation of forgery. Tom leapt to his feet. This is insane. She signed them willingly. Vanessa gripped his sleeve. Thomas, what is she talking about? What papers? The confrontation. During the reception, the crowd parted as Tom approached Emma. You look, well, he said, eyes flicking to Sophia. And who is this? Sophia tilted her head. Are you the man Mommy writes letters to? The ones that always come back. Tom's mouth twitched. Letters? She writes them all the time. Mommy says you're my daddy. But you never came. Emma placed a hand on Sophia's shoulder as Tom's face drained of color. He stared at the girl, really seeing her, for the first time. You had a child? We had a daughter, Emma corrected. I was pregnant when you left. Her name is Sophia. She's 4. Vanessa stepped forward, her voice rising. Thomas, what is going on? Miranda handed Tom the folder. Perhaps this will explain. Tom flipped through pages of letters, each stamped return to sender. Today I felt her kick. You should have been here when she took her first steps. I wrapped her in all our blankets. I sat in the cold. Then came the documents, handwriting analysis, financial reports, and Joseph Hamilton's original will. How did you get all this? Tom asked hoarsely. My father knew something was wrong, Emma said. He gave it to people he trusted. People who weren't you. Vanessa grabbed the folder, flipping through with horror. Is this girl really yours? My father vouched for you. Our prenup had performance clauses. Vanessa, not here, Tom hissed. She pulled away. Don't touch me. My father will hear about this. Whispers rose around them. He abandoned his own daughter? All while the company sank? Tom stammered. I didn't know she existed. Would it have mattered? Emma's voice was calm. You stole everything. Left us with nothing. Miranda stepped in. The board will meet tomorrow. The evidence is clear. The courts will rule in Emma's favor. You planned this, Tom spat. You set me up. No, Tom, Emma said. You set yourself up. I'm just taking back what belongs to my daughter. Sophia tugged on Emma's dress. Mommy, will he read your letters now? Emma knelt. Yes, sweetheart. I think he finally will. Good, Sophia said. Then he'll know everything. Around them, silence settled. One by one, the crowd turned their backs on Tom. The largest shareholder approached Emma. Your father would be proud. It's time for a Hamilton to lead again. Emma looked down at her daughter's hand in hers. No triumph. Just justice. And the quiet strength to begin again. Outside the gala. The cold night air hit Emma's flushed cheeks as she exited the building, Sophia's small hand in hers and Miranda close behind. Emma. Wait, please. Tom hurried after them, his suit rumpled, his tie askew. Please, just 5 minutes, he pleaded, eyes darting between Emma and Sophia. Emma paused. Sophia, stay with Miranda for a moment. Leading Tom aside, she faced him. His shoulders were slumped, arrogance replaced by defeat. When your father died, I saw an opportunity, he began unsteadily. The money, the company, it seemed simple. But nothing worked out. The company's drowning in debt. Is that supposed to make me feel sorry for you? Emma asked. If I had known about her. Tom looked at Sophia. You would have stayed. Shared your stolen wealth. Emma shook her head. You would have seen her as another burden. Tom's face crumpled. Vanessa's father will pull his support when he learns about tonight. I'll lose everything. Now you know how it feels, Emma said. But this was never about revenge. Then what? Proof. Proving I am my father's daughter. That I won't be erased. She glanced at Sophia. And ensuring she knows her worth doesn't depend on anyone else's validation. I destroyed everything, didn't I? You destroyed yourself, Emma replied quietly. The company can be rebuilt. Sophia and I already built our lives without you. As she walked away, Tom called after her. What happens next? Emma looked back at him, standing alone. You start over. Just like I had to. The settlement. In the austere courthouse conference room, Emma sat beside Miranda, Tom and his attorney opposite them. My client accepts the settlement terms, Tom's lawyer announced. Miranda passed the document to Emma. This restores your rightful inheritance. The forged signatures have been proven invalid. Emma scanned the pages, her father's company, properties, investments, all returning to where they belonged. The board has voted to reinstate you as majority shareholder, Miranda continued. Mr. Reynolds will step down immediately. Tom stared at the table, unable to meet Emma's eyes. Mr. Reynolds will assist in transition for 30 days, Miranda explained. After that, no further connection to Hamilton Industries. Is anything left of the company to save? Emma asked Tom. The core business is sound. My expansion projects failed. Cut them quickly, and it can recover. And you? Emma asked. I have nothing left. Vanessa's father called in their loans and annulled the marriage. Emma felt no satisfaction. There's always a way forward. I learned that when you left me with nothing. She signed the papers with a steady hand. I'm signing these with full understanding, she said pointedly. No one is taking advantage of my grief this time. Tom's lawyer slid a small envelope across the table. Inside was a card, I'm sorry. I hope one day Sophia will know her father regretted his choices. As they rose to leave, Tom spoke. Emma, your father would be proud of how you fought for what's yours. I know, she replied simply, and walked out with her head high. 1 year later. Sunlight streamed through the windows of the renovated Hamilton mansion, now transformed into a warm, welcoming space. Today marked the opening of the Hamilton Foundation for Single Mothers, the grounds filled with guests and families who would benefit from its programs. Emma stood at the center in a designer black dress, a choice, not an obligation, strength, not grief. I never wanted to simply inherit my father's legacy, she addressed the crowd. I wanted to build something new with it, honoring his memory while reflecting my own journey. She gestured to the renovated wing. These rooms will house our education center, providing childcare, job training, and legal assistance to mothers who find themselves alone. I learned that what matters isn't how many times you fall, but how you rise again. In the audience sat Grace Coleman, the social worker who had advocated for Emma during Sophia's birth, now heading the foundation's social services. Marcus Winters approached Emma after the speeches. Joseph would be dancing on air. Hamilton Industries had its best quarter in years under your leadership. Emma smiled. The company just needed someone who cared about more than profits. In a quiet corner, Sophia, now 6, arranged papers in a wooden box carved with a mom's story. "What are you doing?" Emma asked. "Organizing your letters to Daddy. I want to keep them safe." "This black dress, Mommy, it's like the one in the old picture, but different," Sophia observed. "That old dress was for sad times. This one I chose because I like it." "Is this your whole story?" Sophia asked. "It's part of it," Emma answered. "But stories don't end, they change. One day, you'll write your own." "I've already started," Sophia said proudly, showing a notebook labeled, "Sophia's Turn." Emma affixed a tag to the box, "To my daughter, may you always know your worth." She paused. Then opened the box again and pulled out one envelope, faded, but never forgotten. "Sophia," she said softly, "there's one letter I want you to hear." She sat beside her daughter and began to read. "Dear Tom, today our daughter smiled for the first time. You weren't there. But I was. I saw her eyes, bright like mine. I heard her laugh, soft like my father's. You missed this moment. And I thought it would break me. But it didn't. Because in that moment, I knew I didn't need to be part of your story anymore. I just needed to write ours." Sophia looked up. "That was about me?" Emma kissed her forehead. Every word. Gazing at the foundation that bore her family name, Emma knew she wasn't just Joseph's daughter or Tom's ex-wife or even Sophia's mother. She is Emma Hamilton, a woman who has proven, to herself most of all, exactly who she is.